Hello and welcome back to a brand new Player 2 preview discussion. My name is Paul James. Today I'm joined by Player 2 Editor-in-Chief and legend Matt Houston. How's things, mate?
Good, mate. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while. Anyway, we haven't done one of these for ages.
Yeah, I mean, I was commenting when I had Jamie Penning on to do one of the review discussions for Octopath a few weeks back. That was the first for the year, and that was the beginning of May.
Jeez, we've been slack, haven't we?
So we've kind of, all those sorts of things are kind of formed by the wayside because it's just been a crazy year. But none of that. We're getting into preview mode. You've been checking out a whole bunch of Assassin's Creed related stuff. In fact, there's a trilogy of games that you've been looking at here. Well, trilogy's maybe not the right word to use, but a trio of games.
A trio of Assassin's
that
Creed.
you've had a bit of a look at. And so I'm keen to kind of pick your brain a little bit about those. You've seen a whole bunch of footage, stuff that, the embargo should be lifting now at about the time that Ubisoft Forward wraps up.
Yep.
So I guess let's start with maybe the most recent announcement of all of these games. There's Assassin's Creed Nexus, which is a VR game. Recently popped up at the Meta Quest event. What do you know?
So, the Nexus, Assassin's Creed Nexus, is a VR title built from the ground up for VR, utilizing 3 classic Assassin's characters. 2 really good ones and the most boring one ever. So
Connor.
Connor, yeah, how'd you know?
Because he's the worst one.
Cassandra and Ezio, and why they chose Connor over Edward Kenway, I will never know, but they did.
It'll be a
gameplay thing. Surely it's like something to do with the Tomahawks or something like that.
It'll be the Tomahawk thing. Yeah,
it'll be the Tomahawk thing, I think. So essentially this is a full Assassin's Creed game in VR, built from the ground up. Now, Ubisoft have got a pretty good record with VR stuff. They've done some good ones. Far Cry VR was quite good. The Star Trek Bridge Room was a really unique take and something you don't see often in VR. So they've got some runs on the boards with the technology. I do find it strange that it's a MetaQuest exclusive at this point.
It'll be timed.
I feel like PlayStation would be a bit upset they're missing one like this, because that'd really help them at the moment, because I think they're struggling to get a few games out there, and it would have been nice to have a big old Assassin's Creed game on it, but it'll come eventually, I'm sure. And what it looks like it's doing is really implementing the motion controls into a first-person kind of Assassin's adventure. So you flick the wrist and a blade will come out, like in the game. You swing the axe. You can grab at your side for your, grab at your side for your swords, grab at the back for the bow, and all these different positions on your body, which you'll have to learn, obviously, and flick the wrist for the blade.
It would be one of those things that at the beginning, a bit like, and I still think back to like when Batman Arkham VR first came out, and you had all of, Batman's tools kind of at your belt, and so initially you'd be looking down to make sure, oh yeah, that's right, that's where I grab Batarang or whatever that happened to be. But then after a while, I know where these are, and you just reach down there without looking, pick it up.
I'd imagine that's the idea behind it. And also they did say they're very big on the accessibility in VR too. So, and Ubisoft have been really good in that front in recent games as well. So I expect them to, cater for people that, suffer from the motion sickness and people that, may not be able to move as freely and things like that. So I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. But how they demonstrate it was, you're basically enacting the role of an assassin. And what I saw, it looked very cool. I mean, like I said, Cassandra and Ezio are the 2 best assassins. In my humble opinion. With Edward Kenway coming 3rd. Then Connor's a bit boring, but it's got to be a mechanics thing why they've picked him.
No, it certainly makes sense. The Tomahawk was a thing that even to this day is still pretty unique to Connor. So mechanically, it makes sense to bring it in there, which means you have to pull the character across too.
Yeah, unfortunately. They could have used Adeline. Didn't Adeline, she used the Tomahawks as well? She was in the same era, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah, from Liberation.
But no one liked that game, so...
yeah, Connor's still more recognisable, I guess.
Yeah. But it's looking like it's going to be good, and especially considering they were showing it on the Quest 2, not the Quest 3, which is pretty impressive. That's going to come along with the Quest upgrade. The Quest 2 is getting a firmware upgrade that's apparently improving performance quite significantly. So it's going to come across with that, which is very cool, because I've got a Quest and I use it mainly for fitness apps at this point in time. So a nice big hearty adventure will be fun, I think.
Yeah, we're picking up a few quests at work at the moment, so I think I might just skim them from, bring them home from time to time, and
Yeah, just check
and
it
jump
out.
in and fill in a few of those gaps. It'd be good.
Yeah.
Claim it's for work purposes. So yeah, I mean, and as I think, am I still the only person? I know it's not. I know it's not coming to PlayStation at the moment. I think I'm the only person still on the team that has PSVR 2. Like I'm, big on on VR. Like it's just a matter of, as you kind of said, getting this game to all different platforms, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time. But certainly keen on VR, and it's one that I'm really keen to play. I do love myself some Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it looks great. Honestly, it looks like one of the really good attempts to bring a AAA traditional game into the VR space without just slapping a first-person overview on something you've already done.
So before we get to kind of the main headline act, we got another spin-off sort of title here. A game that people are a little more familiar with, because when we had that big Assassin's Creed 15th anniversary showcase late last year, that's when we learned about Assassin's Creed Jade, which is the mobile title, and that's I think rapidly approaching a release at this point. It's kind of flying along. It's in China.
They've got a test flight coming for September-ish, I think, was from memory they were talking about it. But there's a test coming up, and then it'll be pretty close, as is with mobile games. They generally test these things about a month out and then drop them.
Boom, there they are.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure about this one. It looks good, don't get me wrong. For a mobile game, it looks very impressive. The key will be controls, right? Getting touchscreens controls, because I don't want to have a backbone. I don't want to have to sync an Xbox controller to my phone.
Is that an option though? Like, can you do that?
I believe it will be. I think that'd be mental not to. And we know this sort of third-person action game can work because Genshin Impact has, taken over the world. So it can be done. It's just a bit of a rarity that it's done well. So I hope they nail that. That's the most important part of it. But otherwise, it looks really good. It looks probably on par with like the 360 sort of Assassin's Creed games from looks.
Yeah, good.
So that's pretty impressive, because you've got a range of mobiles to get it to work on. Obviously, it'll favour the newer Samsungs and Apples and Google phones, but I'm sure it'll work on a range of them. They'd be mad not to. And
sure.
It'd be interesting if it's a full-fledged story. I'm down. Worry about with all mobile games, the worries like monetization and how nasty that is. Where the paywall is, that if the paywall gets in the road of story, that's a bad thing.
Have they indicated whether it's a free-to-play game in the first place or free to start?
They haven't indicated. I'd imagine, like, in this day and age, though, it's very rare that there's a paid mobile game come out.
When they are, they're the outlier, and and they make a fuss about it too, typically.
Yeah, so I don't think it'll be a paid mobile. I think it'll be a free to play, and I hope they handle it like Genshin Impact, to be honest, because you can play that game pretty much from start to finish without spending a cent. It's pretty good, especially
the grind's a little bit longer if that's what
the grind's a bit longer or whatever it needs to be. But yeah, I hope they're not aggressive. I don't think it needs to be. It's Assassin's Creed. People are going to dig that, so they don't need to be overly aggressive. People will be happy with, playing as Edward Kenway as a skin, or something, things like that.
If you make a good experience, put those cosmetic elements on top that aren't actually integral to completing the task at hand, then you're going to get people that want to dress up their character to look like their favorite assassin, or
exactly.
Get this certain hat or whatever. The typical cosmetic
fancy new
sword,
or something that makes your sword look flashy, or whatever. But
idle animations, Fortnite style dances, whatever it happens to be. Like it's only a matter of time. But I guess the big thing is, how does it actually? I guess the big question, will be, how does it actually work when it comes to that touchscreen only interface? Because like I've got the backbone, I could Bluetooth. I've got I've got a range of different options there, and if I've got like that, that's fine for me, no worries, because I can just clip the phone in and off I go.
Yeah,
but not everyone has that. They are, in some cases, they are expensive. Certainly, the backbone is an expensive peripheral.
Yep.
Not necessarily everyone's made that investment, but they need to make sure that base touchscreen functionality works and works well.
Because you don't carry a controller in your pocket, right? The idea behind a mobile is wherever you are, you can whip it out and have a bit of a game, but you're not carrying a controller around with you. You're not necessarily carrying even a backbone around with you. So,
Yeah.
having that touchscreen is essential to getting it right, I think. But yeah, it looks promising, and I like the setting. I like the idea of. I think I'm very keen for Assassin's Creed, the Japanese one, when it comes.
Yeah,
I think
Red.
it's a real unplumbed area that this franchise has missed is Asian history. So you've got a lot there, and they've done little side ones with the side scrollers in India and China before, but
India, China, and Russia were the
Russia,
three.
yeah. But nothing in the 3D space, and I think that there's just a lot of history there that would suit this franchise, and that's the
Yeah.
joy of the franchise, right? Isn't it? Playing in time.
Yeah, I mean, and people have been losing their mind for years at the idea of Assassin's Creed going to Japan, and they never pulled the trigger, and then Sucker Punch got them with Ghost of Tsushima in the end. And arguments can be made as that maybe they outstripped a lot of things that the Assassin's Creed franchise had done up to that point. So they are now finally having a crack at it. That's still a few years off, but this is certainly an opportunity to kind of dip the toe in and show people what they can do within that kind of with that Asian aesthetic. It's not obviously identical. Lots of differences between the Chinese and Japanese motifs and those sort of things.
But that area of the world is largely untouched by them, and you can easily see an Assassin's Creed game set in Mongolia during the Genghis Khan reign. You could see, there's a lot there that hasn't been touched. Even
we'll get
in
there,
Burma
I'm sure.
and Thailand and places like that where there's centuries of history that haven't been touched yet. And we as whiteys generally don't know much about. So that excites me. I know Greek history just because it's something you learn about, but I don't know what happened in Singapore. I don't know what happened in Thailand. I don't know what happened in Malaysia. And
the franchise does such a good job of telling stories within those spaces and kind of interacting with real world events in really meaningful ways. So it's always really, really cool. Which takes us to, I guess, one of those kind of points in history that maybe people don't, as you say, us whiteys don't necessarily know the greatest deal amount. Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming out October 12th, and you've seen a bit more of it. So what are you thinking? Because this is a bit of a throwback in some respects.
It is. It's very much of the feel of the first Assassin's Creed and the Ezio trilogy. Absolutely more about the parkour through tall buildings, about stealth elements. It's very much focused on role-playing as an assassin again, whereas the last three big ones, you haven't actually been an assassin. You've been a Magi, you've been a Viking, and you've been a Greek bounty hunter or Mystios.
Yeah, and certainly the assassination component has kind of been lacking.
Yeah, I mean, you could still do it. Don't get me wrong, and it was still fun, but it wasn't. You weren't an assassin. You were a warrior essentially in this assassin's world. Whereas this is definitely about being an assassin, and there looks like some really cool abilities and things like that. It very much feels like they've taken the concept of the original one and just updated it in a lot of nice ways. The parkour looked fantastic, which was always key, to getting that original Assassin's Creed. And I think they finally nailed it in the Ezio trilogy. And this is taking it that next further. It looks really fluid. There's some cool abilities, like there's this quick strike ability I noticed. You can tag enemies and do a quick triple assassination. So you take one, zoom to the next, and take three down really quickly.
I can get around that.
Yeah, it was very cool. It's like in Far Cry, you can do it if you stab someone in the back and then pull their knife out and throw it at them. That sort of thing. It was very cool. The setting looks stunning. I mean, it's set in Baghdad, and the buildings and the markets, and I don't think people realize that Baghdad was such a cultural center of the world at one point. And a really important part to trade for all around the world. So it's a very, for its time, it was a very multicultural setting. So a very, very interesting setting. And I think playing as a character we've already seen just a younger version of. We're playing as Basim, who was in Valhalla, and he was kind of...
this is before, though, his Valhalla...
This is set before Valhalla, Yep. So it's his rise within the Assassins and how he becomes an assassin. It's apparently a shorter, more contained adventure. They're actually charging
all the
less.
Right boxes with this.
Yeah, they're charging less for it, actually. So because they've even said, we realise this isn't the big RPG Assassins. It's a smaller contained adventure. So I like it. I really like what they're doing with it. I think it's going to bring a lot of fans back. I think it's going to, for people like me that are just a bit tired. Valhalla was quite. I really enjoyed Valhalla, but it is big and it is tiring.
It's the first Assassin's Creed that I've not finished because I just couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't contend with how much of it there was.
It was just huge, and so I think this will bring back people like me that are just a little bit weary of it, and I hope it's something that Ubisoft continue to play with. Doing a smaller, contained one alongside their bigger, which I assume the Japanese one is going to be once again in that bigger scope.
Yeah, Red and what was the witch hunt?
The witch one after that. To the Salem witch trials.
Hex, whatever it is. Yeah.
So I imagine, hopefully, that one. I'm assuming the witch trials one will be another smaller. Well, at least I hope that's the way they go. I think there's certainly scope in this franchise to do both. And by doing both, I think they're going to keep people more invested.
The audience,
yeah. But it's looking really good. I'm genuinely excited for it. And it's nice. Ubisoft are on a bit of a run lately. I think they've had a rough couple of years, and I think the last few things we've seen from them have been pretty interesting. So
yeah, I mean, I guess kind of alluding to other stuff that's going up at the same time. We've got The Crew that's looking quite good. As of the time that we record, this is before the Ubisoft Forward. This is after the Xbox showcase. Mm-hmm. We've learned about their new Star Wars game from Massive there. Like there's pieces that are slowly coming back into place, and some of that skepticism and cynicism that I think a lot of us had been perhaps justifiably forming around that company is just
even the surprise that X-Defiant was actually pretty good, because I gave that zero chance of being enjoyable, but I actually had a blast with the beta. So it seems to be that they're kind of getting their ducks in a row again, which is really nice. And my preview, I got to go hands on with the Crew Motorfest. That's up now on our YouTube channel, and that surprised me. I mean, it really did. Like, the first two Crew games were very bland, solid races that were just lacking personality. This seems to have fixed that. So, and a smaller scope has once again helped them, I feel. Raining down on gigantic open worlds at the moment seems to be Ubisoft's key to getting me excited, I guess, and probably I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree with that. So, it works. It works, and stick with it. And they seem to be coming back into play. And as of the time that this goes live, there'll be a whole bunch more information about the trio of games that we've discussed about why did I just go? The Crew.
Motorfest.
Sorry, the Crew. Yep. I went to call it Motorstorm for a second in a deep cut there. And a whole lot more Star Wars we're going to get a deep dive into, as well as a host of other things that Ubisoft's got to show off. So I guess people should make sure to stay tuned to the website, player2.net.au, for a whole bunch of... I mean, we'll do a versus piece discussing everything that we see. We've been smashing those out over the course of this Summer Game Fest period. There's obviously your preview of the Crew to go check out. There's a whole bunch of awesome stuff, so make sure to check all that stuff out. And thank you to Ubisoft for providing Matt the opportunity to check it all out.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, and Ubisoft have been very generous in making sure we get advanced coverage of their upcoming slate, which is wonderful and helps us inform you, our dear watchers.
Good guy, Ubisoft. All right, we'll wrap things up there. As we've mentioned, this is going live immediately after the showcase, so feel free to add your thoughts now that you've had an opportunity to see these Assassin's Creed games yourself. But otherwise, make sure to visit the website, player2.net.au. The YouTube channel, you're already on it. Subscribe, like, share, check out a whole bunch of other videos. Like lots of videos. We'll offset that douchebag who's downvoting everything. And Matt, social media.
Huso81 on Twitter. The standard caveat that as long as Twitter still exists. And yeah, everything at Player2AU. When I'm swearing, I'm on mine. When I'm not swearing, I'm on Player2AU. So,
and look, sometimes it bleeds across because he doesn't realize which account he's on, but that's fine. It happens. Like it's rare. Paul James Games for myself. And again, thank you Ubisoft for the opportunity. And let's hope we're doing this again sometime soon.
Hopefully.
We'll see you later.
See ya.